Hello and welcome to this mini synth tutorial with computer music. In this tutorial, we're going right back to basics to create a really simple bass patch, very much in the spirit of a Minimoog or a Roland SH101. We can create this sound using pretty much any subtractive bass synthesizer, but we're going to be using our freely available and very own Zebra CM plugin. Start by loading up your DAW and then load in an instance of the Zebra CM on a spare channel. We'll begin creating our patch by performing an initialize. So go to the menu, which also acts as a display at the top of the plugin, click and come down to where it says Init for Initialize at the bottom. Having done that, move down to the bottom right hand side and you'll see there's a master volume control. We should set that to a value of around about 12 o'clock, but if you look in the upper display, you'll see all values are displayed there. So we're setting that to a value of 50. Now we have a default starting point, we can begin to create our patch. Let's firstly move to the oscillator section and oscillator number 1. We can see that this is set to a sawtooth wave, and we're going to leave that the way it is. Moving to oscillator 2, which is right next door, we're going to change this waveform to a square wave, and we do this by clicking and holding on the wave which is currently displayed and nudging it up using the mouse. You will see that it will change shape. We're interested in the shape which is a square wave, which is also reflected by a value at the top which reads 2.00. At the moment we can't actually hear oscillator 2, so we need to turn up the volume control and we're going to turn that up to a value of 40. Notice that this is less than oscillator number 1 because we don't want oscillator 2 to drown out oscillator number 1. The primary reason for this is also because we're going to detune oscillator 2 by 1 octave, and we do this using the tuning pot, which you'll find immediately above the waveform display. Click and hold on the tuning pot and drag it down to a value of -12. This is reflected as semitones, and there are 12 semitones to an octave. Having performed those alterations to the oscillator section, we now have a sound like this. You can hear it's very beefy, but it's also quite bright. Now it's time to move to the filter section to get rid of some of that brightness. We're going to use the filter which is called LP Excite. So if we go to the display for the filter and click, we should be able to choose whichever filter type we want, in this case LP Excite. Next we're going to make a couple of alterations to both the cutoff control and the resonance. Set the cutoff control to a value of 60, that's 60, and set the resonance control to a value of 20. Our sound will be very dull now, like this. Next we're going to work on some modulation sent in the direction of the cutoff control within the filter section. To do this we go to the user-defined pot, which is right at the bottom of the section, currently assigned to envelope 2. We want to leave that assignment where it is, but we do need to adjust the value of the pot to a value of 35. This now means that envelope number 2, at the bottom here, is being sent in the direction of the cutoff control within the filter. So finally, we just need to make some basic alterations to the envelope settings, leave the attack phase set to 0, set the decay phase to 35, set the sustain phase to 0, and the release phase to 17. And now we've got a very punchy sound like this. So notice that envelope 2 is controlling the cutoff. So if we change, for example, the decay, we can hear that each alteration we make changes the timing. We could also, by a similar token, take up the attack phase and that will create a swell. It really depends on the music you're creating and your production style as to where you might place these settings. So do experiment.